Hi, this is 12th of August 2020, and I'm Tony Mitra presenting you with an edited version of a talk I had on Zoom with Patricia Tasker of Perth, Western Australia. Over to our talk. All right, so I'm speaking with Patricia, in short, Trish Tasker, and she is located near Perth in Australia, western part of no,
Western Australia.
it's in the province of Western Australia. It is in western part of Australia, and she's talking to me to describe from her point of view what is happening in Australia with regard to COVID-19. Go ahead, Trish.
All I can really explain is what's happening in Western Australia. We don't get much on the news or anything from Victoria or Melbourne. The only part I got on Melbourne, Victoria today was that one of the police stations has a Chinese flag on the top of it. And they were all in there celebrating their 70th year of communism for China. How do you get Australia celebrating 70 years of communism with a happy birthday cake?
Where did you see this flag or this happy birthday cake or the image? Where?
It's in one of our suburbs in Victoria. I'm sure I sent you the video of it.
I see. So is it a celebration on a billboard or on TV or in real life, like thousands of people congregating in a park, or what?
No. All it was inside the police station. They were all congregating inside the police station, and the mayor of that suburb, she's Chinese, and they've got a Chinese flag on top of the police station, and in there with a birthday cake celebrating 70 years of communism. How do you do that in Australia? This is Australia.
Oh.
You know, we don't want communism. I don't even want to celebrate it. I don't even want to breathe the word.
Well, China, what I read from the news in the past years, it's not today's news. China has bought a lot of property. I don't mean individual, but even state-owned property, mines and so on, various rights in Australia, and also has reached an agreement with the Australian government to allow Chinese immigration. And this is perhaps an outcome linked to all those decisions.
Well, that's the Liberal government for you.
Yeah, you might say that Australia has been selling itself to China.
Oh, absolutely, and it sold a lot of it. They even there's an airport northeast of Perth. It's called Meriden, and they leased that out to the Chinese for 99 years for $1 a year.
Oh wow!
Yep. So the Liberals have been selling us out for years. They've been selling Australia for years.
Well, that's, I think, the same in Canada too. Only thing is we don't hear about it too much. And here in Vancouver, there is a little bit of a side current, because there are immigrants from Hong Kong, as there are immigrants from rest of China, and the Hong Kong people are very pro-democracy and anti-communism, and what is happening in Hong Kong itself is terrible. So they protest, not the Canadian government, but they protest the Chinese government here in Vancouver, but they are outnumbered, and the others come big time if this one group starts a procession for freedom for Hong Kong or something. The other group comes with a big noise, a big crowd with banners saying, we are only one China, no two Chinas. And so all this is going on even here. And I'm sure that that Canada is up for sale just as much as Australia is.
Yeah, well, that's right. I just heard one of the guys saying that I think it's been They've given the information that the UK is now in a recession or depression.
You don't need to read a report. I mean, it's common sense. If you don't work,
Yeah.
if you don't run your business, you will be in recession. In fact,
Yeah.
I don't know the definition of recession, but
I know depression.
yeah,
They're
very,
in a
very serious depression. And it's not just
Yep.
UK, the whole world has
Yeah.
not seen an economic depression of the type that we are seeing now. Whether,
No, that's
whether
right.
the details are out or not, we have not seen anything, not even in the 1930s in USA where there was a depression. I think that was nothing compared to what we are going to have now.
No.
And
No, it
all
won't be.
because of a questionable threat of a questionable flu.
Well, you look behind the flu and you can start seeing what it's like problem reaction solution. They want control, so they use the virus. That was the problem. Then our reaction to do as we're told, and then the solution. They've got us.
Yeah,
So,
I agree with you. What bothers me is what is the ultimate goal? I mean, if this was to be a test run just to see how much people can be controlled, and it is successful beyond their imagination, and it is hurting the planet economically, then what is the plan? It is hard to believe that the economic devastation is not the plan. It is hard to believe that it is not the plan. So if it is the plan, then anybody who wants to control the planet legally, illegally, honestly, dishonestly, why would he or she or they want to hurt the goose that lays the golden egg? And this is what bothers me and keeps me awake at night. And this is
okay. Well, you don't need so many gooses. Basically, that's what you're looking at.
So cut the number of gooses so that you get less eggs. But
Well, yeah, they don't need so many eggs because see, they're only 1% of the population as far as that goes, as far as the what they want to control, and so they don't need so many gooses.
yeah,
So they want to introduce artificial intelligence. They want to get going on all that. They'll use 5G to make us sick. They want to make as much money and do the best they can. And what they'll do is make us dependent on the government money and to make us do as we're told.
Yeah, and you know, Trish, when I think about it, I find it difficult to not believe that drastic reduction in population without bombing anybody, without firing a shot, but letting people kill each other or starve to death, or I mean, having it with nobody to blame except your own government, which is hardly governing anything anymore. So internally implode the population without external violence coming from outside of the country. It is hard not to believe this to be the plan. I just don't find another logical explanation of what is being forced on it. I do not believe even for a microsecond that all this was necessary to save mankind from a flu. I cannot just, I won't even consider it because it is so stupid. So,
well, that's all the sleepers who continue to believe that, see? So as long as they continue to believe that, then we can't unite and fight back. There'll only be a few of us.
There is also another question, Patricia, now that you asked this. You know, I love to have these discussions, and there are very, very few people who are willing to discuss at this level, even if they do believe that COVID is a hoax, even if they do protest on the side of the street with banners and call doctors to talk about it, or some experts to say that, you know, COVID this and that. Even then, it has become very hard to find someone to discuss openly what could be the grand plan, why things are happening the way they are. I can understand somebody wanting control. I can understand somebody wanting to make a lot of money. I can understand somebody wanting to take your liberty away from their for their personal gain. But but to explain why knowingly civilization will be devastated from inside and what is the goal, it's hard to understand unless we come to the conclusion that drastic reduction of mankind is the only is the primary plan, and these are all steps towards it. And
That's what it is.
that begins to make sense in absence of any other reasonable
Absolutely.
explanation. Now, the other thing that bothers me is this unbelievable hostility towards President Trump. And I have no illusion that why US election or US government is more important or more important than almost any other at this point of time is because the US military is omnipotent. It's present almost everywhere on earth, and it is also weaponized the space, so it is the only force that can control the planet militarily to impose some kind of impose a new doctrine, let's say. So therefore, these people who want to control the planet, reduce the population, whatever they want to do, one thing they must have in order to enforce that system is military might behind them. And they do not have it without express willingness of the US military to go along with it. And I may be wrong, but this is why I think the US president being compliant becomes absolutely necessary. And that is one reason why they are trying so hard to get Trump off the ballot, off the presidency, because he is apparently not willing to play ball. This is the best explanation I can think of. I can't think of anything else.
Well, there's a lot really, really, really deep, and I mean really deep. And it goes back to, if you have a look up the Club of Rome, the Club of Rome is the 13 Roman families from around the world, and they're all situated in different parts of the world. They're all intermarried. You know what it's like to, it's called the bloodline.
Yeah, so I understand that, but still, yeah, a question still comes back. Whoever there, whether they're Club of Rome or Club of Beijing or Club of whatever, the question still comes back, why this unbelievable hostility and using every channel, media and newspapers and every avenue available around the world to belittle just one person, Trump, to make sure that denying any debate with his challenger, and insisting on paper mail-in ballot, which are probably open to fraud. Why this unbelievable effort to get a person out of presidency unless somehow Trump's presence is not helping this grand plan? I can't think of any other reason. I have never seen this level of hostility towards a US president ever before, ever. And while I'm not an American, I have no illusion that at this moment, USA is the only military power that is global. China might be wanting to be there, but they are not there yet.
No, they said there was two generals who wrote a book quite a few years ago, and they said that China will never beat America when it comes to the mighty nuclear. So China has to go in the other avenue, and that's use germ warfare.
So, yeah, but the problem, you see, germ warfare, I'm not an expert, but this is what I think. If you let go of a biological weapon, it is very hard to prevent it from devastating your own people unless you have absolutely foolproof way of vaccinating your people against it and everybody else. And we know enough about vaccines to know that this absolute foolproofness is impossible. In fact, vaccines cause as much damage as they prevent. So biological weapon let loose is a wild card that can bite your own ass. But nuclear weapon targeted to demolish a country is something else.
Yeah, but China doesn't care. They killed 400 million people of their own people, starving them to death. They don't care.
Well, that was
They don't
then.
care.
No,
these guys are so sick. They have got a real problem.
Trish, you know
they're like alcoholics.
Trish, you know you're on record, right?
Yeah.
So
they are so sick.
So Chinese people, the Chinese Communist Party, what they did in the 1970s and 80s, I might argue that they did not have the global dominance plan quite like they have now, because they have the wherewithal under their belt. And anyway,
well, they've grown up to be a power now, haven't they? And we've allowed them to do it.
That's correct, monetarily. And at the same time, what is happening with COVID is not a plan that is to be played out 20 years into the future. It's happening right now at a breakneck speed. And the only team that has the military might to enforce it as of right now is US military, not Chinese military. So therefore...
No, that's right. We've still got the upper hand in that way. But you've got to remember that the world is spiritual. It's good against evil at the moment. And the Democrats are the evil, Trump's the good. I mean, they're all puppets somewhere along the line, but I think I'm hoping that Trump is going to be the one that is true to his word.
There is another thing that I kind of wonder about, and I have not heard anything concrete about it, and I'm trying to get some information on the grassroots. I have a feeling that this amount of hostility between the Democrats and Republicans, which is unheard of in the past, I have a gut feeling that this deep divide, this divide that is happening relentlessly through media and so on, this is essentially already breaking the country into two groups. It doesn't matter which group is bigger or which group is smaller, because if the country is to stay together, then whichever group is bigger begins to control the government. But I have a feeling the country is not going to be together if the divide is this deep. So therefore, come November election, irrespective of who wins, Democrats win or Republicans win, Trump wins or Biden wins, irrespective of that, only one person can win. There is no election system where both can win. And therefore, I have a sinking feeling that the country is going to go into another kind of a civil war where half of the country will refuse to live together with the other half.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
So this is something that bothers me, because if that happens, all bets are off, including whatever happens to the US military, all bets are off. I know that all the cities on the coastline, which are liberal, which are more often than not pro-Democrats, and they are populated. And they will
a lot of people are moving out of California now.
I know. But these are the places that will go with the Democrats, no matter which way the election goes. And I have a feeling that rural heartland, which is less populated but more American in some ways, and also more armed, because those are the rural USA is probably having 80-90% of the arms, whereas the urban USA has the 80-90% of the population but no arms. So this is going to be a divide that militarily may not be so easy to predict and what happens. And I suspect that that the rural and the urban divide is gotten to be too deep and too acrimonious to be smoothened out just by some small talk. And
That's right.
Biden
Well,
is,
Trump's going to do his best, but you know, divided, you do not stand divided. You can't stand divided. So it will fall. And you know, even in the Bible, it's basically the phoenix will fall. It's been prophesied for that too. So
so
you know, it will fall.
some people believe that all this COVID and everything is just to defeat Trump. And once Trump is defeated, everything will go back to normal. I find it hard to believe that everything can ever go back to normal, considering what has already happened, and that defeating Trump is the only goal. Defeating Trump again, just like masks, just like vaccine, just like social distancing, defeating Trump is just one step towards the ultimate goal.
I mean, they could have brought this in a little later, but I mean, you got the COVID, whether the Americans, you know, put the COVID together, who knows? You know, they possibly put the Spanish flu together and did it to themselves. So you just don't know. The whites are so cunning and so slippery and so evil. So it's hard to know where anything came from, but COVID's probably just a distraction to bring in the rest of it, which is put you inside and we'll build all the artificial intelligence, put you inside and we'll be able to put up 5G. And once we put you inside and we get 5G, we've got a weaponized laser power to just to eliminate you on the spot. You burn up to a crisp. Your clothes aren't even there anymore.
Yeah, there are talks that 5G installation is not so much 5G, but some kind of electronic weaponization system. But anyway, tell me something, Patricia. You are sitting in Australia, and you are at Perth, and you are one person. But do you think that your neighbors, most of them, still believe that COVID-19 is so dangerous that everybody needs to live under their bed?
No, they're not. I've got my street up here and most of the people I know, and I've calmed a lot of people down. A lot of friends I don't talk to anymore because they think I'm crazy. But go figure. And then the old people in the complex here, because there's about 40 older ones in a complex, a pensioners complex that I live in. And I've just told them to calm down, don't wear a mask. And the worst thing you can do is fear. I said, if you've got a problem, I said, if you're not sure of anything, come and see me. I said, don't get any fear or anything built up. I said, because that's where they're going to get you when it comes to fear, because we've got more suicides than we have COVID victims.
So you are staying in an old age complex, and you have 30, 40 people who would like to believe the TV, and usually people do believe whatever politicians say. But outside of your retirement community, do you meet a lot of other people who are younger and working still or something? And what do they feel?
You go to the shops here, and you wouldn't know there's a COVID problem.
Oh, nobody wears masks. Nobody maintains distance. Nothing. So Perth has no mandatory nothing. Is that correct?
I went to lunch today and there must have been 40 people in the restaurant, and we were probably all just the normal tables apart. They weren't distance tables. They weren't nothing.
I see. And they did not check how many people are at your table and whether they're neighbors or relatives or friends or whatever. Nothing, huh?
No, nothing. Western Australia has nothing like that.
Okay. Did they take your telephone number for contact tracking in case something happens? Oh, they don't ask.
When I went to the swimming pool, probably about a month ago they were, but I haven't been back to the swimming pool, but they were asking you to write your name down, so you could just write Mickey Mouse and a false phone number, so it really didn't matter.
Oh, I see.
Nobody ever checked up on it.
So Western Australia has nothing, and Melbourne has extraordinary lockdown. How do you explain that?
Look, there's two different ways of doing it. It's either the control situation that they're looking forward to, and our little Victorians are puppets and they are the test case, or the world is under this this cloud of getting rid of child trafficking. And I can imagine there's probably some sleazy people in Melbourne, because that's one of our capital cities, full of people, and you just don't know what the underground's doing on the trafficking, the child trafficking, you know, and it's huge. It's huge. It's bigger than anyone would ever believe. The child trafficking, it goes through to
the child trafficking is to do with human slavery, or is it sex trafficking?
Yep.
Or what
Yep.
is yep, what?
Jeffrey Epstein.
Child sex.
Child sex, child trafficking, taking children from here and selling them overseas, all sorts of everywhere. Having houses with dungeons in them, you know, like you've got tunnels and all sorts of stuff. They keep them down there. I mean, men do it to their own children. So it's quite feasible to work it out that when you've got enough money, you think you're invincible and that you'll never get caught. So it's hard to know why Melbourne has gone into such a lockdown.
Oh, okay.
Who knows why?
Okay, one more time. What has child trafficking to do with COVID-19 lockdown? What is the link?
Well, put everyone inside.
We know about Jeffrey Epstein and a huge scandal. He was murdered. I think he was murdered so that he could not spill too many beans. And now his girlfriend has been arrested. What happened? All that is going on. I understand that what's his name? That royalty, British royalty, that guy Andrew.
Yeah, Andrew.
They're
all involved.
And there is some rumor that Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada, is also somehow involved, and he's apparently house arrest or something, all related to this. I understand. But what is the link between that and the COVID-19 lockdown?
If you put everybody back in their houses, which also includes judges and everybody else, it gives them the opportunity to go and find the children.
Gives whom the opportunity? If everybody is locked down, then who is out to do anything?
I don't know. But that's what they said, that there's a lot of that going on in America, and that's why a lot of places are on lockdown, because they're old Trump's going around and he's getting them and he's going to put them all in jail. Obama, Hillary, he's going to go through the lot of them. With child trafficking, he's going to get everything and slam them all against the wall. That's why they furiously need to get rid of Trump. Otherwise, they're all going to go down.
So you think that COVID-19 was engineered just to protect the child traffickers? That's a bit of a stretch, because
no, I don't know. It's pretty hard to find the wood for the trees. So it would be a great plan to put everybody back inside, so that gives them the opportunity to go looking. And what happens is, because you've got to look at the money laundering situation, if you've got people back inside and not playing with cash, it stops the money laundering.
I'm listening.
Yeah, it's just, there is just so much devilish, evil crap going on that it's just coming down thick and fast. But all I know is that I'm putting my hopes in that Trump, he knows, because he's been talking about it, and he's put a few codes out to let us know. And so I'm just hoping he's going to be the one that's going to bring it all down. I mean, he's the only one in the world who can, because we're a Western population, and we're not communism, we're not Russia, we're not anything else. So we're the ones who don't like this sort of stuff. So we're the ones to try and fix it. And you've got to remember, Obama and Hillary and all them are really tied up in the depths of all that. I mean, you've got to go back to the situation. I looked up on the internet, and it was a club of what do you call it when you eat?
You said Club of Rome.
No, when you eat babies.
When you what?
When you eat children. There's
cannibalism.
There's a cannibal club right on the internet for everybody to see. You got no idea what the depth of the degradation, how deep it goes, is unbelievable. And that's why I think that Trump's not going to stop until he stops it.
Tell
And
me
he knows.
something. Tell me something. This Victoria, the province of Victoria, which is where all the big towns are in Australia, or some of the
Yep.
big towns,
Yep.
and where Melbourne is being facing this unbelievable, the Soviet-style lockdown almost.
Yep.
Tell me, isn't there anybody that you know that we can talk with to get their view of what's going on there?
No, I've gone through all my contact list, and I haven't got anyone from
Even
Victoria.
if you don't know yourself, but you might have some contact who in his...
I've tried.
who
I've
has
tried.
Oh.
Most of mine are in New South Wales and not in Victoria, so I don't know.
It's like
I've tried to send you a few things through, you know, Victoria and stuff, but you know, the one I sent you through where it's got the Chinese flag on the police station.
Yeah.
You know, all you can do, what I do is I request friendship with them and wait for the request to come back.
I think I should do that. I decided I must look up on Twitter and Facebook and some other social media and concentrate on Melbourne or Montreal or Berlin and try to find people posting there, as long as they are in English, that I understand. I don't speak German and I don't speak French, so I can ask them, I can support, I can request them to speak with me or something, so we can spread the news. And I also, apart from spreading the news, I need to understand other people's perspective from different corners of the world. You know, it's a global problem.
Yeah.
It's not an Australian problem or a Canadian problem only, you know.
No, and it's deeper than what we think.
Yeah, way deeper,
way
deeper. And because nobody is talking about it, it frustrates us because we cannot, you know, we have a cognitive brain which likes to make sense of what's going on, and which is why we try to find out what is, even if it is to our doom, even if we are scheduled to die in a year's time out of starvation, out of violence, out of whatever, we still need to want to understand why, you know.
Curiosity.
Yeah.
Well, I've got quite a few friends in America, and quite a few of them are black, you know, and like even that Larry Elder, I listen to him. He's a speaker, and he said he can't understand. You know, he said that the blacks shouldn't be out there. He said that it's the best that the blacks have been treated in all of their black history. So he knows that the blacks are going against the blacks. So that's one of the biggest problems you've got in America, is the blacks against the blacks. And you see so many, because some of my guys that in that group, right, that I put your name into that group, and to see if you can get accepted.
I don't know which group you're talking about. You did mention something about the group, but there are so many groups I get invited to, so I lose track. What group are you talking about?
It's the one with John Hood in it and Tom Dump.
First of all, is it a Facebook group or it's an outside email group, or
it's a messenger group.
Messenger group?
Yeah, I do a lot of my stuff through Messenger. I don't do much on Facebook.
Can you check if I'm still in the group, or can you invite me there if I'm not there?
Yeah, I did. I invited you into the group. So because John Hood, he's a African American, and that's what I sent to you through Messenger. Did you get all those messages through Messenger tonight?
Yes, I'm looking at the Messenger with you, where I sent you the Zoom invitation, and you sent me really long, like Bible-sized posts. I have not read all of them, but
no. If you go through them, a lot of that is from a guy called John Hood.
No, but where is the group? I am trying to look for the.
No. I got you onto the group, so they've just got to accept you.
There is one link called Chris Rock, Black People versus Niggas. Is that what you're talking about? It's something from 1996.
Okay, that explains to you what the normal African American thinks of the other African Americans that they call niggers.
Okay, but why that is important now?
Because that explains to you what people like Chris Rock, a normal black person, thinks of the other half of the niggers, the other half of the black people. It
Okay.
explains it to you, but it's in
Okay.
a comedy way. And they
Yeah.
sent it to
Okay.
me.
But
So,
okay. But what is that you said about a group that discusses what? My interest is to get to talk to people who can help us get to the bottom of it, or we can collectively think this matter through, and from all corners of the planet, because it is a global problem. So yes, black people are hurting black people. All that is understood. But and this Kamala Harris and all that, I understand that. But my interest is in USA. I will look for contacts myself, and I have quite a few already. I'm weak in countries like Australia, where something is happening in Melbourne area, and I would like to get to the bottom of it. I would like to get in touch more closely with Germany, because Trish, Berlin had an anti-mask, anti-COVID protest numbering 1.4 million people.
yep.
I have not seen this kind of number anywhere on the earth. So therefore, this is something that they're planning for another one on 29th, where they're targeting 3 million people, and including most of the European nations who can afford to join. One or two of my friends that are now in Europe, they're Canadian, Polish-born Canadian. They're going to attend in Berlin, and I'll get hopefully some more contact from there. So this is something that we need to, I'm desperately trying to stay in touch with to see why. And this can threaten to topple the EU government. This kind of number can actually have a political upheaval that makes real change on the ground with regard to government policies and all that. So that is one. Then in Montreal, just last Sunday, there was reportedly somewhere between 40 or 50,000 and 150,000 people protesting against mask and all. This is, for Canadians, this is unprecedented number, absolutely unprecedented. Of course, Canadian population is much smaller than Germany, but nonetheless, this can be a major social upheaval in the province of Quebec. This is the only French-speaking province, and I'm trying to get in touch with somebody there as well who is involved with all this. So these are the two, you can say, exceptions to the rule. The rest of the world, rest of the English-speaking or westernized world is going the other way. They're just following the COVID guidelines to death almost, They're
Yes,
committing
sir. No,
harakiri.
sir. Free bag full, sir.
Yeah, they're plunging in a knife into their own stomach, in one way of saying it.
Yep.
And here in British
Absolutely.
Columbia, it is extremely depressing for me, because forget about 40, 50,000, 1 million. You can't even get 400 people. You can't even get 200 people. You can't even get 100 people to stay together and protest. They're always biting against each other and bickering against each other, petty differences, and they're splitting apart. Half of them are trying to make a buck out of it somehow by selling some idea and making some money. The whole thing is extremely depressing, according to me, So that is why I try to stay away. And I've been an activist that have been more successful when I worked alone. And I have been always less successful when I joined a group, because that group disintegrates, or the group refuses to do something meaningful and continues to do things that are, you can say, superficial and irrelevant, although it makes them feel nice, like having a picnic. But other than that, it doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't really make any difference. So it's been very depressing for me in that way, and I'm trying to create distance from the groups here, which are pathetic in my way of saying. Now, you tell me that Australia, I can understand, is also very similar to Canada, and like this lady was saying, that Melbourne is only a test case. It is going to be followed. If it is successful, it is going to be followed everywhere else, especially in the English-speaking Commonwealth countries, because they seem to be all having similar mentality. And if it succeeds in Melbourne, it will succeed everywhere else.
Well, it was all about getting rid of the Western world, wasn't it? And that's
Yeah.
what they're trying to do. That's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, but the players who are doing it are themselves product of the Western world, more or less, I suppose.
No, look into their backgrounds and see who they're related to.
Well, they might be related to Rothschilds or the papal, what do you call, popes or the British royalty, but they are still Western.
Yeah, but they don't care. That's what I'm trying to tell you. They are the psychomaniacs that do not care. They do not care. Anyone who's willing to starve their people to death and sacrifice babies and do all the horrible things to human beings do not care. It goes deeper than what we think. This is bigger than Ben-Hur.
Bigger than Ben-Hur.
This is not about a COVID virus. This is not about,
course.
Trump versus the Democrats. This is really, really huge.
Yeah,
and what's happened is the Democrats had a plan, which was their puppets to the people and all back through the whole lot with the Rothschilds. They had a plan and Trump has foiled it.
Yeah, I can believe that too.
The big fight, the good against the evil. Yeah, and that's all it is. The COVID's nothing. That's just a bit in between, just to sideline everybody. Yeah, what they do, it's called order out of chaos. So they're getting their order out of all this chaos.
You know, Trish,
so they're doing it.
I love your Australian accent. I've been to Australia and I remember that. And also when I watch the cricket matches in the past and I hear the Australian team speaking with you, they have that typical accent and I love it. And I'm sure you are used to my kind of accent, which is very Indian, And
well, we're pretty versatile over here too. We've got lots of different languages and people and everyone. I don't think anyone really worries too much over here about, other cultures and, everyone in Western Australia, we're so far from everywhere else that we forget about the rest of the world, and you don't get anything on the news here. You get car accidents and politicians and not a lot at all. So no one listens to the news much anymore. Everyone's turned it off.
I wish there were more people as forthcoming with their opinions as you are in your neighborhood.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of these people here are Liberal voters, so you're not going to get too much out of them. This is quite an uppity
I understand. I really now understand the serious limitations of the generic term liberal, where their thinking ability has been greatly influenced. I don't know how else to say it. I mean, it has become impossible to have serious discussion with a liberal. I used to be called a liberal. I did not know what it meant. When I left India or when I was a youngster, I did not know what liberal meant. I did not know what conservative meant or right-wing or left-wing meant. I understood communism and I understood capitalism, but other than that, I did. So when I settled down in USA, I was first told that I was a liberal and that I was an agnostic. I did not know what agnostic meant also. And I had to figure out, and then I found out that agnostic means although I was born into a Hindu family, I'm not very sort of hardwired into one kind of religion. I'm more into spirituality or exploration beyond any particular religion, so something like that. So I went and said, okay, I'm an agnostic. I didn't know that. And I said, okay, I'm a liberal. I did not know that also. But lately, I really started disliking liberals because of their limited tunnel vision. I seriously started disliking liberals and
well, liberals go with the business after the business, and the Labor Republicans are for the Labor people.
Yeah, but liberals, you see,
I'm a liberal thinker, but I'm not a liberal voter.
Yeah, the word liberal has a meaning, and that meaning is nice to be liberal.
Freedom.
Yeah. So liberal is connected to liberty and so on. So it's not a bad name. But I found out liberals, what people mean by liberals are actually left-minded people who have lost. It's nice to be pro-poor on philosophy, and it should be poor should be, I mean, people who are disadvantaged, they should be taken care of. And this notion is very nice, but this has become a disease where liberal essentially means destruction of society. Well, I have been very, very disappointed with liberals, and therefore I can't call myself a conservative or right wing because I was never wedded, hardwired into any political affiliation. So I won't call myself conservative or right wing, but I certainly am very, very disappointed and fed up with the whole liberal class.
A long time ago, back in the old days, you could tell the difference between each party, but now they are like two wings on one bird.
Yeah, of course.
One's the left and one's the right.
Of course,
but they're all belonging to the same bird. You can't tell the difference anymore.
That's true. I'm also beginning to question. I'm beginning to question the very role of parties, political parties. I think they're anti-democratic, and parties should be banned for several reasons.
That's why you can't fully trust Trump. You know, I want to trust Trump.
I understand. I fully understand that part. But I think Trump is less of a Republican hardcore, because he was not a Republican. He was just a businessman. He happened to stand on the Republican side to get a better chance of winning. But I think he's more an independent that won on the Republican ticket than a hardcore Republican. You see, the
he stands
cabal
alone.
Yeah, the cabal.
He stands alone. That's why
correct.
Trump is different from everybody else. He stands alone.
The deep state or the cabal or whoever is trying to control the planet, they would have been just as happy if a regular Republican became a president, no problem. Or a regular Democrat become a president, also no problem. But Trump is neither. He is a man of his own. Whether you like him or not like him, he has not been groomed to say yes or no sir to
That's right. They can't buy him. See, they've been able to buy all the other presidents. But Trump has already written his books. He doesn't need a presidency to write a book. He doesn't get a wage from the US as a politician. He's losing probably $1 billion a year being in politics. He's doing it because he wants to and he knows how to. And he wants to give it a go. Now, he's probably not the best person, but that's why he's draining the swamp and trying to get the best people that he could trust and that are loyal, that know exactly what they're doing. And he's doing a really good job of draining the swamp. It's just time. He needs another 4 years and I reckon he'll do it. But really, under everything else, can we trust him? I think we can. I'd like to think we can. But the only person
trust him is a difficult. You may not trust him, but here it becomes a question of
no choice.
Somebody who will knowingly destroy the planet, which is anybody else, whether it's Republican or Democrat, that obeys orders of the deep state. Compared to that and a wild card, Trump at best is a wild card. What would you choose? A known devil or a wild card? I would say that try your luck with a wild card, because known devil is known to destroy you anyway.
Yep.
And this kind of a hard choice wasn't there in the past. It has become now a reality.
But that's why the likes of George Soros and all the rest of them had to get a lot of money together. They had to really, really get that lot of money together, because people can be bought with the money. They can be bought with the treasures. So now he's been, the likes of George Soros, who do it to get what they want. He's on the Democratic side. So therefore he's got the money to pay all these Antifas and all these soul destroyers and pit the blacks against the blacks, and he's got the money to do it. And people fall for it every time. They got no soul. And that's why the black people have been saying they don't want those other black people on the planet. They should go. They need to be destroyed.
It was nice talking to you, Trish, and we should do it more often. You are a forthright lady. I wish more Australians were like you.
A lot of Australians are, but they're very, in Western Australia, we've got the beach and we've got everything like that, and nothing really happens over here. So everyone just is pretty laid back. Whereas I've always been the excitable one and wanted to get involved with things, and I'll try and watch what's going on in the world, and it excites me, and everyone turns around and says, oh yeah, right, are you crazy?
Tell me something. Are the prices of food or basic amenities going up or staying steady in Australia? In your part of Australia?
Yeah, I think they're pretty steady. I mean, we pay a lot more over here in Western Australia because everything is imported from the eastern states. So it's cheaper to live over in the eastern states than it is here.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Why is everything imported? Doesn't food grow in Western? Is it desert everywhere or what?
Well, we haven't got a lot, and we've only got the coastline. So we import a lot of our stuff. I mean, I think even some of it comes from China through New Zealand, saying it's produce of New Zealand.
No, but my question
idea
is,
how China's fluffy.
my question is, doesn't Western Australia grow food? Don't you have agriculture in there?
Not as much as what they need for the population.
But why not?
We bring in mangoes from Mexico.
Is it not a well-watered country? Is it dry, or is it climatically unsuited, or what?
You know, have a look at Australia, and all the way around the outside of it, right? That's where we live. We don't live in the middle.
Middle is desert. Middle is mostly desert.
Yep, it's all desert. And when you go up north, it's probably an average of 33 degrees Celsius all during the year. It gets up to about 49, 50 degrees, but in winter up north in Darwin, it's about 33 degrees in winter. You're wetter coming out of the shower than you did going in. It's that hot. I mean, it's an unforgiving country at times. We've only live around the coastline. So that's why there's not really what you would call a lot of room. So that's why what's happening is they're trying to get, you know, they're burning the forest, like the same as San Francisco. You know, they're burning all those forests there. But if you have a look at the map, there's a train line. They want to build a train line. I think it's right across the states.
They're trying to build a what?
A train line.
Train line where?
From San Francisco, you know, like from California through the other side for transportation to get rid of us.
Yeah, I mean, that train line is what brought USA together a couple of centuries ago, where the Chinese people worked on the train line, and the West opened up once the train was there, and Eastern people can go and settle everywhere. So that was already done all the way to San Francisco, I think.
Well, now they're going to build a different sort of train line for the concentration camps that we're all going to end up in.
Oh, I see.
Internment camps.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. And they've done exactly the same with the bushfires and everything here. If you have a look at some of the photos, the trees are burning from the inside out. And that's because the metals that have been thrown down from all the chemtrails landing through the trees and everywhere else, if you have a look, they burn from the inside out.
Interesting.
There's a lot of stuff going on. There's just so much going on, but this is where they're getting the order out of the chaos. You know, we're trying to keep up with it. We've been asleep for too long. Whatever happens is something that we should have been more aware to the situation, been more part of life and know what they're going on. You know, while the cat's away, the mice will play.
So what is your best prediction of what's going to happen in the coming few months? If not in the world, at least in Australia. Going up to the November election for Trump, let's say, till the end of the year, what do you think is going to happen?
I think there'll still be lockdown, and they will still try for your mail voting. And you know what that's like. Did you see the one that was in one of the other foreign countries? And did you see them climbing down the ladder out the back door? And they were throwing all the bags of mail votings out the back door. That's how that guy got into the presidency. Can't think of which country it was, just this recent one. Is it Lebanon or One of them.
Yeah. Lebanon, the
Yeah, one of them.
burning. The town is burning because of huge blast.
Yeah, well, he got in by.
Go on.
He got in by 80% of the votes, he reckoned, and apparently most of the votes went out the back door, and that's all fraud. Well, that's exactly what's going to happen in America. So Trump said, well, if that's the way you're going to be, well, what I'll do is hold off the elections. But I don't think they can. I don't think they, I mean, as far as we know over here, he's gone into hiding. Trump's gone away for a little while to be protected until the vote. So I don't know. We don't get much news over here. I've got to actually research all the way through. One of the news channels is OAN. That's not a bad channel to watch. Mm-hmm. And Fox News. And they're the only ones that you can get any truth from.
Yeah, I listen to Tucker Carlson, although not every day, but I like him. He's the only Western reporter as an individual that I like at this moment. I can't say I like all of Fox News. I'm not a regular follower of any news because, but Tucker Carlson is one that I like to hear time to time, and I have respect for him. I almost have no respect for any other newspaper man or woman or person. Nowadays, you don't even know whether to call him a man.
But that was their plan.
Yeah.
But you look at it, that was the plan of the elite. If they bought all the newspapers, bought all the televisions, and if they owned all that sort of stuff, then we would never know what's going on. But I don't think they realised the advantage we had with social media, and that's why they've had to try and, get the likes of Zuckerberg to pull everything down off the Facebook and do all that, because I'd say he would be a Democrat, but to pull everything down, and they're trying to get everything off of Twitter, and Parler is about the only one that's not being banned or restricted. So that's why a lot of times I'll go to Parler. It's like Twitter.
Mm.
So, you're not going to get your information through. So that's why you're finding it so difficult, is because you're trying to find someone who you can talk to and knows a bit of information. But I must spend probably 7 to 8 hours a day researching all this. And while I'm doing my housework, while I'm driving, everywhere I go, I've got my phone on, and I'm listening to YouTube. I'll stop at on the side of the road and answer someone's text, and I'm on Messenger, and I do that 7 to 8 hours a day.
Mm. Mm.
You're not going to get many people who do that. Everyone's just sort of kind of disgusted with the whole thing, and people are really strange. You say, oh well, I've been, what have you been doing today? Oh, I've been catching up on the research with Facebook, and bloody Facebook. And I said, how are you going to learn anything off the bloody news? You're not going to learn off anything off the bloody news.
Yeah,
so
true.
It's just one big argument.
Yeah. Okay, so it must be pretty late now, and it was a long recorded talk. I will be editing it, and if you put it too long, people lose interest. I'll try to compress and put it out.
Do whatever you need to do with it. There's nothing much I can tell you. I'm way over.
You told me enough. You told me enough. It was a perspective, and it is. You are a very how to say. Apart from being articulate, you're also very presentable. I mean, you show feeling and passion in your talk. Your video is cutting off. So
I know. Yeah.
So I think it's nice. People should hear real Australians talking about it, And I understand now that
my feet are on the ground.
Yeah, correct. I did not know Perth was so isolated. I've been to Perth. I've been to western part of Australia, but I don't remember that well.
Australia is the same size as America, North America.
Yeah, more or less, yes.
You can in North America, because I've been to America, you can live in the north, in the Midwest. Well, with ours, you can't. You can't live more than probably around about. I think you get about probably 20 to 30 miles away from the coast, and you start going into bush.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, true.
So we only live around the coast.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah.
So, Trish, thanks for talking to me. And I don't even remember how we became Facebook friends. And no, I don't remember anymore, but I'm glad that I'm your friend.
Oh, no, I'm glad I'm your friend too. But what I do is when I go to Facebook, and you know how you go through people that you request to be able to talk to, I'll only do it with ones that haven't got another friend, so that I can get a different perspective on life.
Oh, I see. That's how you do it. Hey, interesting.
Well, you know, if I went through and saw this particular guy and he had 3 or 5 friends that I already knew, there's no use me getting them on as a friend, because I'll get his Facebook entries through the other friends who share it.
So
And then
could it be that you you send me a friend request, or I sent you, because you found that I have absolutely no common friend with you, and therefore I must be.
That's it. And that's how I do it, so that I can make completely different friends around the world.
I see.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you have any friends in Russia or Germany?
Germany, Morocco. You want to see them? They live out there on the desert, watering their palm trees. They got to pump their water out of the wells and go and water their palm trees. It's bloody hilarious. But you know, and they're the ones that I can just go in and talk to, that I don't have to talk politics or don't have to worry about anything, or I just set my camera up and we just chat along about what everyone's doing in Morocco.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's quite good.
Okay, very good. All right, Trish, thank you again, and we shall stay in touch and keep your spirit up, and hope you can convert 1 or 2 guys in Victoria to come out and speak their mind instead of just stay silent.
Yeah, well, I think they're really ready to boil, those fellas over there. So I don't know. I'll have a work through and see if I can do some more in that way. But then nobody seems to be talking.
Yeah. No problem. It's not urgent, but it's good to know that you tried and nobody is willing to talk. That itself is news to me.
Yeah.
All right then. Take care.
I'll keep trying, Dale, and you take care, eh?
All right. You too. Take care. I love you.
Okay, love you too. Bye.
Bye.